It just got real.
Hey there, this is Motion Flow. In this tutorial, I'll show you how to create awesome reusable titles animation in DaVinci Resolve. We will create an animation of the title and also create a macro with all the necessary settings so that you can use this title in your work very easily and quickly. Let's jump into it. But before we start, please subscribe to my Patreon. There you will find a lot of useful information, project files, and ready-made animations like these minimal titles. Follow the link in the description. Alright, let's start creating our title animation. First, create a new Fusion composition. Set the frame rate and title you need. Then go to the newly created Fusion composition. Here, we will create all the animation. So, press Shift plus spacebar and add a merge node. Connect it to Media Out node. Now let's add the first text. To do this, select the Text Plus node and add it to our workspace. Connect it with a merge node. Select the text node and enter the text you need as well as the font. Let's increase the text size a little. Also, set the H archon to the full right position. Now, we need to animate the appearance of the text. First, add a rectangle node and connect it to the text, thus creating a mask. Increase the size of the mask and move it directly below the text. And now set invert checkbox. Let's animate the text itself. Select the text node and go to the Layout tab. Move the time indicator forward a second and set the key to the center parameter. Now go to frame 0 and move the text under the mask. We need to make the animation smooth. To do this, select the text node and go to the Spline tab. Here we can see the graph of our animation. Select both keys and press the Smooth button in the lower left corner. Now press T on your keyboard and set Easy In and Easy Out to 94. Alright, let's go back to our work area and see what happened. As you can see, we managed to make a very smooth appearance from under the mask. Now let's create a box for the second text. Select Merge Node and press Shift plus Spacebar, and add one more Merge Node. Then add a background node and connect it to a Merge To node. Add a rectangle node and connect it to the background. Reduce the resulting rectangle a little in height and move it to the right of the first text. To better understand where the center of our composition is, right-click on an empty area of the preview window and activate Guides. Now we need to animate the rectangle we just created. Select the background node and add a transform node. Hold Control and zoom in with the mouse wheel. Move the pivot to the very left edge of our rectangle. Just like that. Now select the transform node and press Ctrl plus C to copy it. And then press Ctrl plus V to paste the copy right under the first transform node. Select the first transform and press F2 to rename the layer. Call it Animation. Do the same for the second transform and call it Controls. Now we are ready to start animating the rectangle. Select the first transform and change the time indicator for about 10 frames. Then go to the Inspector tab and uncheck Use Size and Aspect. Now we can control X size and Y size separately. Set X size to 0 and put the first key. Now let's move forward a second and set X size to 1. Go to Spline tab and make the graph smoother like we did before. Let's go back to our work area and see what happened. It doesn't look bad, but let's move the animation of the rectangle forward a little. Return to the Spline tab and select both keys. Now move everything forward about 10 frames. Alright, now the animation looks perfect. So now it's time to tell why we created a copy of the first transform node. Uncheck Use Size and Aspect. We need the second transform so that we can control the length of the rectangle in the future. We can increase or decrease its length, depending on the length of the text. And now it's time to create the second text. Select the Controls node and add a new Merge node under it. Add Text Plus node and connect it to Merge node. Write the second text and choose a font for it. In this case, set the H anchor to the full left position. Also, let's copy the size parameter of our first text so that both texts are the same. Move the second text a little to the right. Let's also increase the size of the rectangle a little. We need to achieve the ideal placement of the text and rectangle. All right, now it looks nice. Let's animate the second text. To do this, select the text and move the time indicator to frame 20. Then right-click on the text field and select Follower. Go to the Modifiers tab and set Delay to 1. And then go to the Shading tab and set the first key on frame 50 on the offset parameter. Close this tab and go back to Follower. Return the time indicator back to frame 20 and change the offset parameter so that the text is under our rectangle. Now our text is animated at the same time as the rectangle. Go to Spline to change the text graph to a smoother one. Set Easy In and Out to 94 as we did before. Let's go back to our work field and see what happened. Oh yeah, that looks much better. In order to make our rectangle a mask for text, select the Merge 3 node and change the operator value from over to atop. Now our text is not visible outside the rectangle. Now let's go to our Controls node and change the length of the rectangle to fit the text size. Now it looks great. Let's add some more movement to our title. Select Merge 2 and then add a new Transform node. Move the time indicator to 20 and put in the first key. Then move forward a second and put in the second key. Go back to the first key and place the first text right in the center of the frame. Go to Spline and change the graph to a smoother one. Let's go back and look at our animation. Oh yes, this is exactly what we need. Now let's add the last animation for today. Move the time indicator to frame 35 and select Transform 3 node. Put the first key here and then move it forward a second and slightly reduce the size value. As usual, go to Spline and change the graph to a smoother one. Enable the display of the animation graph of the center parameter and leave only the graph of the size parameter. Set Easy In and Out like last time. Let's go back and look at our resulting animation. Looks very cool. Let's slightly reduce the size parameter on the second frame of our Transform node. And also move the entire size animation a little forward. All right, we have finished the animation of our title. Now we need to make an out animation. To do this, select the Transform node and move the indicator to the very last frame of our animation, and then add a Time Stretcher node. Go to Inspector tab and set Source Time to 70, and then go to the very beginning and set Source Time to 0. Okay, now let's add the out animation. Move the time indicators to the very end of our timeline, and subtract 70 frames from this number. Put the key in this place. Then go again to the end of the timeline and set the value to 0. All right, out animation is also ready. Now we need to do it so that we can control the time between in and out animation. Select the Time Stretcher node and move the time indicator to frame 70. Then add a keyframe stretcher node. Set the source end parameter to match the length of the composition. Then we need to set the key values, the time between which we want to control. Set start stretch to 70 and end stretch to 79. Now we can start creating a macro file to use our title as a template. Select all nodes except media out and right-click on any node. And then go to Macro, Create Macro. Change the title name to what you need. Let's first add the ability to change the text. To do this, open the Text tab of our first text, and then find another Text tab inside it. Activate the first 9 checkboxes. Then go to the Text 2 tab and do the same for the second text. Now we need to add the ability to change the color of the rectangle. Open Background 1 tab, and in the Color tab, check these parameters. Now let's find the Controls node in the list. Open the Controls tab and check X and Y size, and rename them to Rectangle Width and Height. Alright, now we are ready to save macro file. Go to File, Save As. Save the file anywhere. Go to the Effects tab and then go to Templates. Right-click on the Titles tab and click Show Folder. Paste the saved file into this folder. Now let's go to the Edit tab. Open the Effects page and go to the Titles section. Here you should find the title you just added. If you can't find the file, simply restart DaVinci Resolve. Now all you have to do is drag the title onto the timeline. In the Inspector tab, we can find all the settings we have added. Let's change the color of the rectangle so it doesn't blend into the background. Now we can fully see the animation we created. At the end of the layer, we can see that the out animation does not fully appear. To fix this, just stretch the layer a little. Now we can fully see the in and out animation of our title. The beauty is that we can stretch the layer as much as we want while keeping our title on the screen. Let's try changing other macro file settings. For example, let's change the text of our title. To see how changing the length of a rectangle works, we need longer text. Let's write DaVinci Resolve instead. And now, since the word resolve does not fit within the rectangle, we can simply increase the value of the rectangle width parameter, and we're done. All right, that's all for today. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video. Bye.